Hey there guys, it's Mallory from Hackley Public Library, and tonight we are going to be making Scrabble ornaments, which is a really fun craft and it's so easy. And you can actually find supplies for this at any craft store and it's fairly inexpensive. Now, if you had registered for a craft kit for the Scrabble ornaments, you would have essentially received 2 craft kits because you would have gotten 2 kits to make 2 separate Scrabble ornaments. Now, in the first kit, you would have received a ribbon, a little poinsettia flower, 2 little jingle bells, 2 pieces of string, and of course some Scrabble letters to make up a festive word. Now, in your second kit, which was a part of the Scrabble ornaments kit, you would have received another piece of ribbon, some more Scrabble letters to make up another festive word. And for that kit, you would have also gotten 1 extra jingle bell. And then this string. And with the kit that you got, you would have also gotten a little container of Mod Podge. And for this particular craft, you really don't need to use a lot of Mod Podge. You can use your finger to dab the Mod Podge in the places that you'll need to on the craft, or you can use a Q-tip. I'm just going to use a Q-tip that I got from my bathroom. But the first thing that we're going to do with this Scrabble ornament craft is take a peek at one of our ribbons. Now, with the ribbon, I made sure to give extra ribbon to make it extra long. That way you could determine if you wanted your Scrabble letters to be kind of close next to each other on the ribbon, or if you wanted them to be further down. It just gives you the option to have your letters more evenly spaced or closer, whatever you prefer. But the first thing that you're going to want to do is take your ribbon and kind of just fold the back a little bit, just eyeballing it, and then lay your Scrabble letters and your poinsettia flower on top of it. That way you can see where you want all of your letters positioned. So I am going to just fold the backs of my ribbon and then lay it down and then put my Scrabble letters on. The one that I'm working with is Santa. So I'm going to situate them and then I'll kind of show you how I have them laid out. Okay, so you can see how I have my Scrabble letters kind of laid out on my ribbon. And I have them evenly spaced where I'd like them, so I know that this is the length ribbon that I'd like. So any of the extra ribbon that's folded behind, we'll just kind of keep that like that for now, and we can cut off some of the excess ribbon right towards the end, but I want to wait for that part just in case we change our mind about how much ribbon we actually want to use. But now that I have this kind of in place and I can see this is the length ribbon that I want, I'm going to now take all my letters off and the poinsettia flower off, and the first thing I'm going to do is actually tie one of the pieces of string that I have around the top, and that'll essentially be the hook of the ornament. Okay, so as I take all the Scrabble letters off and the poinsettia flower, I'm still keeping this as the length ribbon that I want to use. And again, notice at the back we have a lot of the excess ribbon that's folded here, and that's okay. We can cut off some of the excess ribbon towards the end, but as I mentioned, I just want to kind of keep it this length for now, just in case we want to change the length of ribbon that we're using. But the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take one of my string pieces and take one of the ends of my ribbon, whichever part you want it to be the top, and we're going to take our string and put it under the flap, just like that, and then fold the flap over, and then tie it in a knot. Now make sure that when you tie it in a knot, you're still leaving, a good amount of space within your hole here with the string, because this is going to be essentially the hook of the ornament. So I'm going to tie a knot, leaving enough space to make it so that it can fit easily on the branch of a Christmas tree or on a windowsill. So see, now I have, this is the back with the flap. I'm going to turn it around and you can see that we have our hook. for the ornament, right like that. And I'm going to take some scissors that I have and just cut off the excess string here. Okay, so now you can see we have the hook part done. This is going to be the part that hangs on the tree or on your window. And we still have the back flap not secured yet. Towards the end, we are going to use some Mod Podge to glue this part down, or as I mentioned, kind of cut any of the excess stuff off that we don't want. But for right now, I'm just going to kind of leave it as is. And then I'm going to start working on the bottom flap, which is where we're going to use the second string and also our 2 jingle bells. Okay, so I have my second string and I have my 2 jingle bells here, and I'm gonna feed the string through the top of the jingle bell so that it can hang on there. Now the string does tend to wanna, it frays a little bit. So I'm just going to, just lick it either with my tongue or just kind of dab my finger just to wet it a little bit. And that way it'll make it so that it can go through the bell. And I'm going to do that for both of the bells. Okay, so now that I have my second string that has the 2 bells on it, I'm now going to take my ribbon and just kind of flip it around to the back so you can see that this is the back. It has the flap that opens. I'm going to take my string here with the 2 bells, and I'm actually going to make it so that it sits kind of inside here. Let me show you a little bit up close. Let's see here. Okay, so I have the flap and I have it open just so you can see. This is where I'm gonna tie inside of the flap area my string of bells. So here's where it flaps, and I have my bells kind of dangling on the bottom here, and I'm going to take the string and tie a knot. And again, you want to make it, tie the knot tight, but give it enough room for where the bells kind of dangle at the bottom. Okay, so you can see this is the back of the ribbon. See, here's the flap. The bells are at the bottom, but when I open the flap, you can see that's where I tied the knot. This is where I tied the string in the knot right inside. So you'll see that's where the flap goes. It'll close over the knot. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut some of the excess string off so that we don't have a lot of string just kind of hanging around. So I'm going to take the knot here. See the excess parts? I'm going to cut some of that string off. All right, so now here's the inside of our ribbon. Remember, this is the part that flaps over. And then when you open it, you can see here's where the knot is. And then when you close it and turn it to the front, you have the bells. And remember, at the very end, we are going to use some Mod Podge to dab right on the inside of our ribbon here so that everything will stay in place. But this is what our Scrabble ornament looks like so far. We have the bells at the bottom, and then we have the string at the top to act as the hook. And so this is the front, and then here's the back that still has the flaps. And again, just a close-up, you can kind of see this is where we knotted the bells on the inside, and then this is the front. All right, so before we begin using the Mod Podge, I do want to say that the Mod Podge that I had in my container, I think it had been some Mod Podge that I had put in a container a little bit before, and I noticed that it kind of dried up a little bit. It kind of became a little bit harder. So that being said, if that happened to anyone's Mod Podge, definitely, feel free to stop into Hackley Library and we can get you some new Mod Podge. All of your Mod Podge containers should be good because I had just filled them recently, and I think it's because I was using one that I had filled a little while ago. But that being said, if anyone does have any Mod Podge from one of the kits, that kind of dried up a little bit. We're very sorry about that, but you can definitely stop in to Hackley Library and we'll get you some fresh Mod Podge. But that being said, we're going to start putting our Scrabble letters and our poinsettia flower onto our Scrabble ornament. So you can see we do have the bells at the bottom, of course, and we have the round hook at the top. So now I'm going to take my Q-tip and I'm going to take my Mod Podge and just kind of dab it in. And remember, you don't really need a lot of Mod Podge for this craft. You just kind of need a little bit to make sure that you are adhering your poinsettia flower as well as your Scrabble letters. So the first thing I'm going to do, just to make sure that I have enough space at the top, I'm going to take my poinsettia. I'm going to dab a little bit of Mod Podge right on the back, and then I'm going to stick it on the top of my ribbon. I'm going to hold it down for, about 30 seconds or so, just to help secure it. But we are going to let this dry, of course, before we adhere any of the back flaps. So we'll just give it some time to fully dry. But you can see already it's adhering nicely. The poinsettia flower is to the top. And I'm going to repeat that process with all of my Scrabble letters. So again, my Scrabble letter word is Santa. So I'm going to first take my S, and then just on the back of my Scrabble letter, just put a little bit of Mod Podge, and then stick it right underneath my poinsettia. And then again, hold it down for about 30 seconds or so. I would recommend doing that for each letter, just to kind of put some pressure on it and to make sure that it is adhering properly. But of course, we'll want to let it sit for a little bit just to make sure that everything is securing. But I'll show you my first letter, and then I'm going to again repeat that same process. So here we have our first letter done. Okay, so now you can see I have my Scrabble letters on my ornament, and it says Santa. And you can see I have my poinsettia flower at the top, my Santa word, and then my jingle bells at the bottom. So my Scrabble ornament is almost complete. The last thing that we're gonna do, remember, is on the back, we have the flaps that are still kind of open, and that if we want to, we can use a little bit of Mod Podge to dab the back flaps just to make sure that they are secure and not catching on anything. Like if you hang this on a tree, you don't necessarily want the open flaps to catch one of the tree branches. So I'm gonna flip it over very carefully and then just take a very little bit of Mod Podge and then put it on the bottom, or I should say on the ribbon, and then just kind of push it down so that it stays secure. Then I'll let it, dry for a little bit. I'm just gonna hold it down in the spots. And remember, you can cut off any excess parts of the back ribbon if you'd like. I decided not to cut any off. I just put a little bit of glue down, and that'll keep it secure. But I'm gonna hold it for a little bit and let it dry. But essentially, you then have your completed Scrabble ornament. And it's cute, it makes a cute little jingling noise with the bell. And what's really great about these is, you can make the two that came in your kit, but it's so easy to get materials that you can make tons of them. And you can hang them all on your tree, or you can give them away as cute little Christmas gifts. And you can personalize them. You can choose other words, you can choose names. It's such a great gift and such a great thing to just have in your home. So here you can kind of see the close-up of the Scrabble ornament. Such a cute, festive little craft. And I just want to say thanks guys so much for joining us on this crafting journey, and feel free to share pictures of your Scrabble ornaments that you make in the comments, and we hope you enjoyed it. Thanks so much, and hope you have a great night.